So a quick update on the polyphagous short-haul borer. So the first thing that I wanted to highlight is that this incident response is nationally coordinated and nationally cost-shared. This is the case when we deal with exotic incursion of both pest and pathogen that are exotic to Australia. So, for example, the varroa mite incident response back in New South Wales was also nationally coordinated and nationally cost-shared through a couple of committees. The first one is called the Consultative Committee on Emergency Plant Pest. So that's basically all the chief plant biosecurity officer of all the jurisdictions across Australia, including the Commonwealth, and the CEOs of affected industry parties. So that committee is basically going to look at a couple of aspects when we've got an incursion of something that's exotic to Australia. The first one will be, is it going to be technically feasible to eradicate that pest or that disease? And is it going to be cost beneficial? If those two conditions are met, then a response plan is drafted. So usually that's the compact jurisdiction that draft the response plan in consultation with the rest of the consultative committee. Once that response plan is ready to be endorsed, it goes to another committee, which is called the National Management Group. And that National Management Group is basically the decision-making body. And that's usually represented by the Director General across the jurisdiction. And again, industry is also at the table when the pest or the disease affect industry parties. So that's something that is quite important, is that it's not just WA and DPIRD running the response. We are delivering the response on behalf and in consultation with the rest of the country, which is quite different compared to when we deal with a pest that it's only exotic to the state. So, for example, Queensland fruit fly, this is when the WA government basically run the show without any cost sharing or consultation with the other jurisdiction. So we've heard already from Dr. Kerr a couple of information. So I will try to add a few more new things. So the beetle is very small. On the photo, you can see that it looks fairly big, but basically that's the size of a sesame seed. So that's basically 1 millimeter, and it's 1 by 2 millimeter. It's very small. And as we've heard before, it's the combination of the beetle creating tunnel within the tree, and especially within the vascular system of the tree, and the fungus, which is going to grow within that vascular system. And you've got a nice photo of the kind of damage that we saw from the very start of the response. That's wood species is basically the Arcea negundo. That's the most favorite food for the beetle and the fungus. That's also called the box elder maple, and that's basically the number one host of that complex species. And you can see that you can understand why at some stage we have a tree dieback, so a branch starts to die and fall off. And eventually when the beetle is everywhere within the tree, then we've got tree death, unfortunately. A couple of key metrics. So the response started back in August 2021 when a member of the public submitted a sample or a call through My Pest Guide Reporter app saying, I've got a couple of trees in my front yard, they're starting to die, what's happening? On that same day, we sent some biosecurity officers to investigate. We took the sample back to the diagnostic labs, obviously, and then that's after a few days we found out when the result came out that we were dealing with an exotic species to Australia. So since then, as we've heard, that's been the largest and more, I guess, complex incident response that the department has had to respond to. A couple of key metrics just to show you the sheer amount of work that's been done since mid-2021. We've inspected close to 2.9 million trees. We've taken 200,000 samples that every single one of them needed to go to the lab and to be tested for both the fungus and the beetle. So you can imagine the amount of work that created on top of obviously all the other diagnostic samples that we receive on a daily basis. Overall, we had to remove, unfortunately, close to 5,000 trees, and we had to prune 1,200 trees or so, because obviously the aim of eradicating the beetle is that if we don't have to destroy a tree, we will just remove the infected limb. However, if the tree has been fully compromised, I guess the only option was to remove the tree. There's been no chemical available anywhere in the world, so we're talking about fungicide or insecticide that has been successful at eradicating the beetle once the tree is infested. And therefore, the only tool that we have so far in the toolbox is to remove the part of the tree that's infested or the whole tree if needed. This is a map of the quarantine area. So basically the whole of the Perth metro area is under quarantine. This is basically, you've got green and red dots, so I will explain a little bit what it's about, but basically they represent every single detection of PSHB within the metro area. Something that's quite important to notice is that as of today, there's been no detection outside of the quarantine area zone. The difference between the green dot and the red dot is that basically once we find an infestation, obviously we have to treat it under the eradication plan, and therefore to prove that the site has been completely or that the beetle has been completely removed from that premise, we have to wait for 6 months and do several rounds of inspection. So once this is completed, we've got a green dot. Basically, the tree on my property has been cleared. Inspectors came several times on site for 6 months, and no beetle has been detected. So that's what we call the treated premises. The red dot basically doesn't mean that we haven't done any remediation action on those sites. It just means that we haven't reached the 6 months period time. So we've heard that on the 18th of June 2025, the National Management Group made the national decision basically after reviewing all the information provided by the technical experts across Australia that the PSHB was unfortunately no longer technically feasible to eradicate. So as Dr. Kaur mentioned, that doesn't mean that the response stopped on the 18th or on the 19th of June. It just means that a national decision has been made to switch from an eradication phase to a transition to management phase. And we were given 18 months to do that. So yeah, the key message, it's really important, is that Australia's national response is not ending. It's just entering a different phase. The second point is that the quarantine area remains in place, and our key message is to all Perth residents to keep, doing what you've been doing so far, and keep observing and making sure that everybody keeps on complying with the condition associated with the quarantine area notice to prevent the beetle moving outside of the Perth metro area. So this is a little bit more graphic, I guess, to explain what we've just been talking about. So we are obviously not on the 1st of July anymore, but basically on the 1st of July, we started that transition to management phase. So the 18 months clock started. And basically we have 18 months to do a lot of work to basically find ways of living with the pest, find ways of managing the pest. And in 18 months' time, when all the national agreement cease, we will have developed some long-term management strategy for PSHB, not only for WA, but also for the rest of the country, should the pest spread to the other jurisdiction. And this is what's really important, and I'm really looking forward to the talk we are going to hear today about the research, because the research will be very important for us to be able to find new ways of detecting the beetle, find new ways of controlling the beetle, and I'm really looking forward to listening to the researchers. So thank you very much.